industrial manufacturing industry, it's a male-dominated space, but women are up and coming. One of the ways that you can enhance and get rich results for your business or your organization is to do schema on your company. If you are not using internal linking on your website, you are missing out on an opportunity. Everybody wants to be heard, right? Everybody wants to know that they're proving their worth and that they're appreciated for the job that they're doing. Thank you. See you on the flip side. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Intersecting Industry. Today, I will be sitting down with Amanda Ridley from Columbus Hydraulics Company, and we'll be taking a deep dive into women in a sales engineer role. Please welcome Amanda to the show. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Nancy. Hey, everyone.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Excited for this conversation. Yeah. Okay, so just to let everybody know, you have a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and so you're a smart girl. And you've been with Columbus Hydraulics for 2 years and in the industrial sector for almost 8 years now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So why don't you tell us exactly Columbus Hydraulics, what your company does?
Sure. So initially we were founded just by basically had a machine shop and some grain cart companies came and needed cylinders. So we started manufacturing those and then other grain cart companies came in, and then we kind of expanded our reach to just be a full solutions provider. So as of now, we're a total custom cylinder company. So we don't really have anything standard. Everything is, exactly for the application and very customer driven. We're in Columbus, Nebraska, which is the manufacturing capital of Nebraska, and proud to be an American-made company.
Awesome. And so your position there is a sales engineer. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the way I approach it and kind of the way I define it is quite literally half sales, half engineering. So sometimes you run into people who may say they're a sales engineer, but they don't, necessarily have the engineering background to add to that. So my take on it is that I provide not only sales services to deal with, purchasing, marketing, and other parts of the company, but also able to interface with engineers at a technical capacity that's beneficial to them. And so we don't have to fly our engineers out everywhere. I can give technical support on site relatively easily and bring in my background knowledge of, systems and things that I know to help serve the customer base.
Okay, and what industries exactly do you work with?
Sure. So we work mostly in the mobile industry, so mobile hydraulics. So there's a lot of ag out in Nebraska. So we have a ton of ag customers, construction, waste, pretty much anything that's on the road and has hydraulics on it, we deal with.
Okay, and one of the things that I want to kind of talk about, not just about your company, but how you got started in being interested in mechanical engineering. So I know that you had told me that as a kid that you were take it apart and put it back together kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So my grandpa was a mechanic. He also owned a car dealership. So I was even, as young as I can remember, I was painting his shop. And then from there, had a, mechanical interest with him. And then my father is basically a software engineer. So kind of meshed those two together and it became mechanical engineering. And I loved it. It was something I basically grew up around. So that inspired me to keep pursuing it in the future.
Okay. And what's the craziest thing you took apart and put back together when you were a kid?
I did a lot of my own work on my car. My
Hmm.
friends make gearheads, so we do a ton of different stuff to my car, other cars, and dirt bikes, quads. We pretty much messed with it in any way you could.
There you go. That's how it starts.
Yep.
Okay. And then when you were in college, because on this show, we always like to talk about how there's not enough women in this space. So I'm just curious, when you were in college, how many women were actually in your mechanical engineering classes?
So as far as the smaller ones, like labs and such, it was probably me and one other or two others. In the larger classes, like 100 plus, it was about five of us, and it was all the same. The same girls that were in the other ones. So yeah, it was pretty much five. That's the most I would really see.
So there definitely needs to be more women in this industry, wouldn't you say?
Oh, certainly. I mean, you see, more women coming up in the chemical engineering space and more, not as hands-on, I would say, engineering disciplines. But
Hmm.
certainly, I'm very passionate about inspiring other women to feel comfortable in this space and to pursue their dreams. I mean, you know, girls might have that same type of interest, but it just never really gets supported, or they never feel like that's something realistic they can pursue. And it's extremely realistic. I mean, engineering is a hard degree, but if you're as passionate about it as I am and the other women that I went to school with, you can be very successful and be a kind of minority in the industry, but also help prove that women can be here. We
Hmm.
can talk confidently, we can talk technically, and we can be just as good as any man, honestly.
There we go. There we go. Okay. And so, to that point, what aspects do you think that a woman has that brings something different to the table in the industrial space than a man would?
So I think the main thing, and what kind of I always say is an advantage of having a very diverse team, not even just women, but just a diverse team in general, is especially women, we have a very different decision making process than men. So we may think of the problem in another way or have an alternative solution that maybe isn't a tried and true solution, but it's valid, and it just hadn't been thought of because it's the same type of people with the same type of thinking and the same type of experiences. We're bringing in, you know, very different experiences and, like I said, a different way of decision making and thinking. And I think that's important for a company to rapidly grow, especially in this space right now. If you don't have a diverse team, you're probably lagging behind.
I absolutely agree. And everybody has something to contribute. And when you exclude a sector of it, then you're missing out on, just like you said, another mindset.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what aspects of your career being in this industry do you think you can share with other women to encourage them to go into this field?
Yeah, so especially within Columbus, I'm extremely supported. Everybody treats me like anybody else. Nobody downplays any of my ideas or my intelligence. It's really respected, and I think that it's a little intimidating because sometimes it feels like you have to work twice as hard to be recognized and to be respected. But once you develop that respect, that stays with you, and I think. The industry doesn't expect to see you, but they're much more welcoming than they have been. Even I've noticed in my years when I first started, and now it's improved. So I'm glad to see that. I would like for it to keep improving.
Yes, yes. And as you and I discussed on our pre-show talk, it's not just about dirt and oil.
Right.
There's more aspects to it. And you yourself talked about, how you get to learn new things all the time
Mhm.
and how it's real interesting to you.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing that I love about my position is one day I could be working on lawn mowing equipment, the next day we're doing balers or something like that, and it's exciting to see all these different and get exposed to all these different plants and different industries, and just kind of see how your product and you can apply maybe knowledge from another sector into this sector to solve a similar issue. Um, I think the constant learning, I wouldn't be happy in a position that I wasn't constantly learning. And I'm very satisfied because I learn a ton every day. And I like to keep doing that. And that's why I think other women should, you know, you don't have to be a secretary. You can be out there and discovering new things and, reaching your full potential, really.
Absolutely. And so in your career, what roadblocks have you had to overcome?
Sure. So, um, I would say there's, like I kind of mentioned before, it's easier for me to go into maybe like a cold call situation because they don't really want to be mean to you as much as a woman, and they're usually much more accepting of that. But once you get into talking to the engineers and you start to get to the technical side of it, you have to do a lot more to earn that respect. But once you have it and you have it established at the customer, you can really do anything. I mean, it may take a little more to get there. You may need to work harder than your male counterpart, but as soon as you prove yourself, you have that respect and you have that customer's loyalty.
So leading into that, we actually had a conversation about your favorite project, one of your favorite projects that you worked on.
Yeah.
So why don't you geek out a little bit and tell us about that? Because it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah. So we had, it was when I was early in my career, we had a customer call up and they had basically a quick coupler, which basically goes on the end of your excavator loader and can switch attachments. So two pins come out, they lock in the attachment, and then also they retract in and to release the attachment. So we get approached, and the customer says to me, he's like, "Yeah, we have like a 60% warranty on these. These are really bad. This loses us a lot of money. Can you make them and just maybe if your company makes them, they'll make them better." So instead of just passing off the drawing and just asking them to remake what's already not working, I kind of dug into the problem a little bit more. So I actually went out to a customer or a customer of theirs that actually had this and kind of talked with them. How do they use it? Come to find out that the operators would just sit on the button and just keep it extended or keep it retracted, like just pressurizing it until they're like, okay, I'm sure it's locked now. They would bring the arm up and actually shake it to make sure like the bucket or whatever or grapple would stay on, and that was their way of a safety check, which OSHA would very much frown upon, I'm sure. Um, so basically, I kind of looked at knowing how the operation goes, looked at the internals of the cylinder itself, and saw basically how they had it designed. It was just a double piston, double rod design, but it was meeting on a round surface in the center, and that was actually causing the pistons to like want to warp around it when it was over pressurized because they just would, like I said, stay on the button. So changed that. Well, suggested to change that and make it just a trunnion in the middle, and actually made the cylinder half an inch smaller, so it actually got faster, but it was more robust because of that flat surface for the pistons to stop on in the center, and that led to them almost having no warranty claims for this anymore. And they were extremely satisfied and a very loyal customer to this day. And I appreciate them taking my ideas because at that point I was, maybe a year into it. So it was pretty exciting, and I like I said, I still have their loyalty to this day. So and they appreciate every idea I have, and they'll always listen to it. And that's kind of what I meant about, you might have to work a little harder and show, a little bit more drive, but once you get that respect, you've got it. So that project really helped instill confidence in me that my ideas are valid, and even though it's something they haven't done before, or no other cylinder company was proposing that, I felt really good that I had come up with that idea, and it worked out really well, and they were really happy, which is obviously the most important part.
And what a way to start out your career.
Yeah, it was, it really jump started things with them, and they were doing about $1 million with us after that. So,
Oh, even better.
yeah, they were only doing about, if I remember correctly, about 200,000 when I took over, and then we had fixed this issue, and yeah, then grew from there. And like I said, they're still a very loyal customer to this day. They basically follow me with whatever company I go to. So that's really, it's really, it makes you feel really good.
And that's a win-win for everybody.
Exactly.
It's a win for you, and it's a win for the company that you go to work for.
Yeah, and it's hard to, ask a customer to pay more for something, right? And this was a pretty significant increase for them, but due to all of the warranty claims and whatnot they had, it was a no-brainer for them. They were like, no, this was a great idea, and it worked, and it's even faster than we had originally designed. So they didn't mind paying that extra price tag.
Yeah, I just think that's a wonderful way to start out your career, and very exciting for you. Yeah. Okay, so I know I asked you this on our pre-show conversation, but I think it's interesting to share with the rest of the class, if you will. But I asked you about, how do your peers view you in your, position in the industrial space, AKA your girlfriends?
Yeah.
And what do they think about that?
Oh yeah. I try to explain it to them. Sometimes they're like totally checked out and are like, I don't understand what you do. But I share with them some stories like that, and they're just like, wow, and that's crazy. And it just, like I said, it comes from a mindset, a lot of, women to kind of stay under the radar, not be too confrontational, not be too out there, and all that. But yeah, they have a tough time understanding, kind of the technical side mixing with the sales side as well. They understand how sales works, but when you add that technical aspect where I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at this circuit and, designing this, and they're just like, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's interesting. I have conversations with my girlfriends about marketing, and they do the same thing. So it's not just, I guess, because whenever you're talking about industrial companies, there are a lot of females out there that don't understand a lot of the aspects that go into manufacturing and industrial space. And they're almost inquisitive about, why are you interested in this? Not so much the process, but why is this something you're interested in? Is that something that you find?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of like, well, why do you want to go climb all over that excavator and help them with it?
Because it's cool.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes when I explain certain projects, they're like, oh wow, like that does sound really neat. But the other half of the time when you're explaining how you took an oil bath or something like that, which you're not really in hydraulics if you haven't, in my opinion. But they're just, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to go out to this paper mill and where there's these conveyors, shooting up huge trees to mulch them and all that, like, and you had to wear a hard hat, and like, why would you want to be there? And I'm like, because it's just really interesting. It's fun. It's, like I said, it keeps me learning, and yeah, just stimulates the brain, honestly.
Yeah. And I know that you have surprised a few men by going out in your steel-toed tennis shoes
Oh yeah.
and turned wrenches.
Yeah, so we had a customer that he's he's usually difficult to work with as far as on a sales side. He doesn't really respect salespeople because he thinks they kind of don't bring anything to the table. So we were going for a startup, and he approached me and he said, "There's no way you're here to turn wrenches." And I was like, "No, yes I am." And he was like, "You're not even wearing steel-toed shoes." So I said, "Do you want me to kick you with them and you can find out?" And then he stopped from there. So
Yeah, that's probably a good stopping point,
hmm
I
yeah.
would say. Okay. And what qualities about yourself do you feel that makes you a good sales engineer? Like what makes somebody want to do business with you?
So I'm very much I'm driven, and I like to dig really deep into the problem. So I don't, if the customer says, "Hey, this cylinder's drifting," I don't just say, "Okay, well, we'll replace the seals," or whatnot. I want to dig into it. So I want to look at their circuit. I want to look at the valving and all of that, and even problems that might not fall under my jurisdiction. If they talk about it, and I have an idea of how it might be mitigated, I give it to them, and they're so much more appreciative of when you're kind of solving a problem they have that's not really your problem. And troubleshooting is honestly one of the favorite parts of my job. um, but I would say it's that my problem solving drive, that's higher than more of the profit seeking or trying to get the quick buck. I'd much rather figure out what the problem is, address it, and come up with a solution that me and the customer agree with, and go from there, knowing that I actually put in effort. I didn't just walk in and ask for a PO.
Right, because it's all about the customer experience, and I know that for you that's something that's very important.
hmm Yeah, I always
Yeah.
say I'm 51% for my company and then 49% for the customer, because as a salesperson, I believe that you're the one who's kind of representing the customer to your company, so you have to have
Mhm.
a big loyalty to them as well, and you have to make sure you're doing things right, because anything take the shortest route or the route of least resistance, it comes back to bite you, and
Mhm.
customers remember that. But I'm happy to say that you know most customers I've dealt with, they when I give them a call, they're like, "Oh, it's great to hear from you. You want to come out?" It's not really, um, they're that they feel like I'm trying to sell them something. And
Mhm.
that sounds funny in sales. I'm more trying to promote solutions, and that's really what we're offering. We're offering a total solution as opposed to just a component sale.
Right, because you have to kind of build that base with them, and part of that base is, listening to them, hearing them, and really trying to solve their issue. If you can't do that, then you're really probably not going to get their business.
Yeah, the best salespeople, in my opinion, listen more than they do talk. Um,
Mhm.
they let the customer, they go tour the plant, they listen to the customer, they ask, maybe the assembly guy, "Hey, how long does it take you to do this?" And different things like that, and just listen, and not just try to come up with a solution on the spot, not try to just have an idea of what you're going to promote beforehand and then walk in just tunnel visioned on that what you're trying to promote. You listen, because they might have a problem that they wouldn't normally say if you were just pushing, pushing, pushing for what you want to sell. Um,
Mhm.
and that's when the customers respect you the most, and that's when the customers are most loyal, when they know you're going to hear them out, you're going to put their interest first, and provide them a total solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we've kind of established that there's not a lot of women in the industry, and um, I want to talk about company culture. So, because I know that you've gone into companies where the culture isn't diverse.
Mhm.
How important do you think company culture is to being inclusive of women in the industrial space?
I think that's one of the most important things. If they don't have, if you walk in and everybody in your position is a man and you walk into the room and then they have to change some things, that they do to cater to you, it feels much more like you're kind of a burden or you're not really supposed to be there. But at a company that wants to learn and wants to promote your ideas and wants a different opinion and all of that and have um, a diverse workforce, but also the culture to back it up where, it's okay to speak out and, you don't feel, micromanaged and things like that. And you don't feel that there's only a specific mold for members of the team where, I run into companies all the time like that. You see every sales guy on the team is, a different version of the same person. And that's not going to work for all your customers. And it's not going to help, like I said before, promoting new ideas. And as supportive as the company can be and as diverse as they can be, it makes you feel more secure working there and you feel more confident representing that company. You don't feel like you're always proving yourself. You feel like they know my worth, and I really appreciate that, and I can be successful with that. And I'm really happy to have that at Columbus.
Yeah, knowing your value is one of the things that I talk about quite often. Is you have to know what your value is. Nobody knows it unless you teach it to them. And how refreshing is it to actually work for a company where you don't have to teach it to them all the time. They know and they understand and they give you that respect. And same with your clients.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I started working at the company, I was actually in my interview, I was asked by the engineering manager, like, hey, so tell me about being a woman in the industry. Like, what have you experienced? And the fact that he wanted to hear, like, what I had gone through and what it's like and like, my whole, like I said, experience, it was really refreshing. They really heard me out and were like, wow, I can't believe stuff like that actually happens, but I can see why, that it happens with some of these customers because they don't have as great of a culture or things like that. But it makes you feel, like I said, really confident and that you're not trying to prove yourself. You're just demonstrating your knowledge and your worth, and they respect that and don't question that. And I think that's important for customers. Sometimes you'll run across ones that, like I said, you have to work a little harder for that. Um, my my proudest moment of kind of converting a customer was someone who had been in the industry for over 30 years. He was the owner of the company, and he sat me down and would say, like, Amanda, like, you're a really smart, sharp girl. And he's like, you come in here with a lot of knowledge. You always help us out. And, just kind of changing his mind when originally, um, it was kind of like, what do you know about hydraulics or why are you here? They, don't even acknowledge you when you come in. To go from that to the respect level that I have, at that company specifically, it was really, I felt really accomplished. And if I could convince them, who are, kind of a bunch of Florida rednecks, to support women and he's even supported other female sales ladies that have come in since then, which is a total change for him. So it was really exciting to be a part of that. And like I said, it changed someone's mind because, if they don't give you the respect you deserve, then you have to demand that respect and you have to command it once you have it. And that's what's going to change the mind of, other companies that, don't have such a positive view on women in this space. And I think the more women that get involved and, the more technically savvy and everything and hands-on we can get, we're going to be doing, so much work to help the future generations and make this just more even. I mean, we make up basically half the population. So why are we not half the population in powerful positions or in manufacturing, or especially in hydraulics?
Absolutely. I think that when I've talked to other women that have come on the show, we've talked about how there's a lack of women in the space, and we've talked about what we as generations need to do for the younger generations to let them know that these are options for them, that you can do these things. If this is something that excites you, if this is something that you have a real passion and interest about, you should absolutely pursue it, and to encourage and give them that confidence, to go into the industrial and manufacturing space, because women do have a lot to offer. And the thing that I'm really feeling good about is, not only from talking to you, but some other ladies, is that the younger male generation has been more accepting of women in the space, and, working with them as peers and giving them the respect that they deserve, I think is a step in the right direction.
Oh yeah, certainly. My previous engineering manager at previous company I worked at, he treated everything as just, it was just black and white. It was, you say you can do this, okay, then do it. It was just like, okay, I trust what you're saying, and that really gave me a lot of confidence and helped me when I first started um, to gain, like I said, that confidence in myself, but also to get the experience. Which, if I didn't have someone like that that was, respecting when I said I can go and, work in the shop and go get something done myself, and for him to say, yeah, go ahead, it helped me get a lot more experience than I would normally get, just because of that trust, and him not seeing genders or anything like that. He just says, what's your capabilities? If you can do that, go ahead, like do that. And, you see the older generation that, they still kind of have their biases, or, they'll be chivalrous, but it's in a way that you're like, no, I can do this wiring myself. And they're like, no, 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 I'll do it for you. And I'm like, no, please let me do this myself. Like, this is my job. And also I like getting that experience, and to not let women have that hands-on experience because you're trying to be chivalrous is really just robbing women in general, in my opinion, of gaining more technical prowess and hands-on learning. So I fully agree with, if it's something you can do, or if it's something you'd like to do, and you should just be able to do it. Don't say you can do more than you can. I'm not going to claim I can lift, as much as a big, bulky 6'3" shop guy, but I'm going to do everything I can do. And I think that other women should take advantage of that too. I mean, if you get the chance to gain experience like that, it's only going to make you feel more confident in the future to new experiences, but also, demonstrating your current knowledge. And I'm looking forward to the younger generations getting in higher roles, and less of kind of that stigmatism that, women are delicate or anything like that. I mean, I can, I throw on my steel toes and hard hat just like anybody else and do the same stuff. Like I said, I might not be able to lift as much sometimes, but other than that, I've never really ran into, something that a man could do better than me in this space.
Kudos to you. There we go. Girl power. Okay. We talked about, speaking of the younger generation, we talked about a mentoring program that you worked on with robotics. Can you speak to that for a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure. So down in, when I lived in Fort Lauderdale, I actually volunteered. It's actually one of my customers that let me know about it. It's the First Robotics. It's held on by, I think it's Alan Bradley, and they have all these robotics competitions for high schoolers all around the country. And what I was really happy about, and which really made me, passionate about it, is there were so many girls in this program at this high school. It was probably, at least 25, if not 30% of the class was, or of the group was women, and they were both on the mechanical side and on the control side for the robots. So it was really exciting to see, and that's what's helping, I think, change that generational mindset, because now, and just helping them and encouraging them along the way to, hey, you can do this. Your ideas are about, like, you should present these ideas to everybody. These are great. and just working with their male counterparts, but being held as an equal, and not kind of looked down upon or anything like that. It was really inspirational, and I felt really good about being a part of that, just because of, like I said, showing that women can know what they're doing, and then supporting women who are going to be our future engineers, or future women in industry.
Absolutely. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's just going to, it's just going to take all of us proving what can be done, and just making sure that they have the confidence in themselves to do it.
Definitely. I mean, it's us proving, and it's also companies becoming, like you were saying, like the better workplace culture and more diverse, which will show other companies it's very easy to do and be successful. And also you might, and you probably will grow more the more diverse you get. You'll grow quickly and much more rapidly than, like I said, the same group of guys who have the same mindset, just coming up with the same ideas that have been done for 20 plus years. It just doesn't work in this in this new economy, and all the new technical advances. It's just, like I said, I think, like I said, it's on an individual basis, but also promoting companies that do have that diversity, and that they're doing the right thing and showing other people it's not that hard. It's really not.
Exactly. It can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to see if we have any questions or comments.
Penny Thorne said, "Awesome, sounds familiar." She must have been agreeing with something you guys said.
Okay.
And then this says LinkedIn user. I can only imagine it's someone from our team, because they said, "Let's go."
I'm sure. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this segment of Intersecting Industry. And Amanda, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insight. And the best of luck to you. And just really appreciate all the information that you shared with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on what you do, and all the support moving forward with continuing to do that.
Thank you so much.
Is really important, and I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay. With that being said, I'd like to close out the show. If you would like to be on the show, no matter what position you're in industrial and manufacturing, I would like to invite you to reach out to me and I'm sorry, Kyle Mylan is dancing over to the side. I would like for you to be on my show, and just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation, get you on the show. We can build the brand for your company as well as your personal brand. If you are a woman and you have knowledge to share, please reach out to me. And until next time, I'll see you on the flip side.